when I was calling people to come to this event, one of the people actually said to me, "Hey, you know, it's not LAPD, it's the Sheriff's Department. They only do the unincorporated areas." I said, "Wait a minute. It isn't just the unincorporated areas, and I'd like you to please reinforce to anyone. You have the parks, the libraries, the government buildings, and of course the jail system, which is the largest one in the entire United States." And you just said about the payouts. I think what we all need to understand is every time something happens in the jail, every time an inmate is abused, the money that goes to pay that settlement is our money. We're the taxpayers. It's our money that goes. That's why it's so critical to have someone like Jim who knows what to do and has no private agenda. But would you please tell them all? They have over 18, it's a huge enterprise. They have over 18,000 deputies, 4,000 civilian volunteers, almost 1,000 reserve deputies. It's a huge. The enormity of what the sheriff has to do is mind-boggling. Even getting the prisoners to the courthouses every day. Hundreds and thousands of inmates in all these various courthouses, and very seldom ever a snag. And that is amazing.
Thank you, Leah, very much. Yeah, the organization, and I don't know if I could follow that with a lot more detail. That was incredible. It is a giant organization, and when you think about just the custody function alone, if you've got 18 to 22,000 people in custody, and you think about the care and feeding of them, the kitchens, the laundry, the psychological services, the medical services, and all of the support necessary to take care of people, and then you've got to get them to court. And you have one of the largest bus systems, believe it or not, in the country, just moving them around to and from court. And then you look at the court system. We have the largest court system in the country, and the sheriff provides security for that whole system, the community college system, and as she mentioned, the parks and the government buildings, and on and on. And then the patrol function for 42 contract cities, as well as all the unincorporated areas in the county. And on top of that, even for many of the, or most of the 45 independent cities, the sheriffs also provide homicide investigation and bomb squad resources, as well as some other specialized resources. In the event of a catastrophe, an earthquake, or something like that, the sheriff is in charge of the FEMA region, which brings in all of the aid from around the state and around the country, should we need to do that, as well as mutual aid resources to be able to help whatever entity needs it within the county. Yes, sir?
Yeah, mental health problem is a huge, huge problem. Is there another large county in the country that has solved this problem, and is there sort of a model for you to work from to solve it for our county?
Great question. The mental health problem is a huge problem. Is there another place where we would look to as a model? There's nowhere, to be honest, that while there's small places that do things much better than we do, the scale at which we deal is unprecedented. There's nowhere else in the country. The closest would be Cook County, Illinois, Chicago area, and they're dealing with things. They have a very progressive sheriff there now, and so I would look to help partner with him to be able to use some of the resources both there and here, educational institutions, thinkers, to come in and look at our problem, not try and solve it ourselves as cops, but to reach out to specialists. We've got think tanks, we've got universities, we've got so much at our fingertips, but we're so proud we don't often ask for people's help. And to be able to get people multidisciplinary to come in, sit down, look at the issues we're dealing with, look at even the things that take up that most people never even know, the time it takes when you arrest somebody to get them through the process, to book them before you can get that officer back out on the street again, to streamline the process that takes so long. Any attorneys here who take somebody down and you try and get something done in Men's Central Jail, the process for bailing somebody out takes hours and hours, and there's no need for that. So we just need to review, re-engineer our processes to make ourselves more efficient. So there's tremendous opportunities, but the mental health issue is critical, and I think raising that issue for America to talk about, we're always afraid to talk about it because it's something we're not comfortable with. We need to raise it so that we, like domestic violence, like drunk driving, the things that 30 years ago we didn't talk about at all, and they were kind of put off to the side. Now we're no longer that way, and I think that we have the opportunity to do that with mental health as well. Thank you for that question. Thank you. Yeah.
We have a large immigrant population in this county, and I'm not talking about the Irish. In the past, we've sort of had programs that are pro, con, and so forth, and at any given time, depending on policies, either it's favorable or it's not favorable. Are you in a position to continue having a liaison with the immigrant community so that, although at this point in time many don't vote, In the future, they will, and they're a productive element of society, so that they're in a more secure position, such as what LAPD has been doing. Are you in that kind of a position?
Thank you. Great question. What's the position on dealing with new immigrants to the country? As I mentioned at the beginning, my parents were immigrants, so I'm sensitive to the needs of new immigrants to the area, the language issues, the cultural issues, and just getting yourself on some foundation in a brand new country and still following the American dream. There was an issue in 287G, it was called, where it made police officers agents of immigration, and that was a law passed not too many years ago. Not something that most in California really adhered to. The Trust Act was passed a year ago by the state, and that allows the local jurisdictions not to have to do things for the federal government that are counter to our interests relative to deportation of immigrants who aren't documented. And I embrace the Trust Act. What I also tell people very clearly is that while some would say, I don't want you working with ICE at all. ICE is Immigration and Customs Enforcement now, the new name for it. I'll tell you the truth, ICE has been our best partner as far as dealing with issues of human trafficking, sex trafficking in particular. And if you use the resources available to us in the right ways for the right reasons, then the system works well. But to go out and look at trying to use it the way it's been done with sweeps in the past, where you're picking workers up at the Home Depot or somewhere else, and you know, all of a sudden, if the local police department, the sheriff's department become part of that, in the minds of the immigrant community, they're not going to deal with the sheriff's department. They're not going to deal with local police. And if we don't have a relationship, that's community policing in its essence. If we don't have a relationship, crime is not being reported, we don't get cooperation, we don't get information, and the predators are allowed to prey on the rest of the community. And we need to work with our community. We need to be approachable, and we need to have rapport if we're going to be successful at all. As much as we use technology every step of the way that we can to be more efficient, policing is and always will be a people business. And if we forget that, then we forget our mission. So I hope that addresses your issue, but we need to be sensitive to every community in the county, every community that we have the opportunity to police, because we don't do the policing to them, we do it with the community. Thank you.
Thank you.